three key aspects make a good recreational facility?
If we're talking about a park as an open space recreational location, facility, three key aspects. You need a large enough space, so you need plenty of room so that you're not trying to cram everything into a small space. So a large open area. It needs to be accessible. So that means not only providing car parking for people to drive to it, but ideally on a bike path, on or near a relatively main road, so that there's transport options in terms of catching a bus or the train, so it's accessible to all people. You guys would understand that. You know, mum and dad probably don't necessarily always want to drive you around everywhere.
Yeah.
If you can get to things either on your bikes or catching a bus, it makes it easier and makes you more likely to visit those places. So there's two. The third thing I would say is just having a diversity of recreation opportunities. So you might have just the sort of standard stuff, which are sporting fields, ovals, open spaces, playgrounds. In Brisbane, we have lots of fenced fenced dog off leash areas, dog parks, exercise equipment in parks. So it's encouraging people to be active and get fit. So yeah, just having a diversity of different types of recreation opportunities, so that it's not all about playing a team sport, because the trends are really, people are moving away from playing team sports and are moving more into single individual activities like cycling, exercise equipment, walking, things that don't necessarily need a big field space, open field space or court space.
What do you think that Brisbane CBD should have more recreation? Do you think that Brisbane CBD should have more recreational facilities?
CBD, probably yes. Brisbane overall, in terms of the whole council area, has a lot of recreational equipment, facilities, a lot of parks. The Brisbane itself, this centre of Brisbane doesn't have a lot of recreational facilities. We've got South Bank, which is a fantastic space. It's really good for families and young kids in terms of the water play and the playgrounds in there and that sort of thing. But with the trends in Brisbane, with more and more residential buildings being constructed, apartments and things, it would be good to be able to provide a bit more diversity, as I was saying in the previous answer, diversity of recreational opportunities. Yeah.
How would you compare Brisbane's recreational facilities to Los Angeles?
Well, I don't know much about Los Angeles. I know it's a very, very car-dependent place. I don't know much about their parks network though, so my assumption would be that possibly we may have a better spread of parks throughout the residential areas of Brisbane. But it's very hard to comment on that. I've never been to LA, so I don't really know a lot about their parks system.
Do you think recreational facilities in Brisbane are easy for public to travel to?
Generally, yeah. Generally, I think we do a pretty good job of that. A lot of our parks are along bike paths. And part of that, I guess, is a lot of the land we get for parks is along creek corridors. So you already have a corridor that you can you can put a bikeway along, and then there's parks sort of all the way along the corridor. In terms of how we plan for our parks network, when we're buying land for new parks, we always endeavour to ensure that it is close to public transport, and we've got a standard that we aspire to, which is that every resident of Brisbane should be within a 750 metre walk of a local park. And as I said, we aspire to that. Not everyone in Brisbane is within that distance walk, but I think we're at about 90% of Brisbane is within that walking distance of a local park. And then our next level of park is a district park, which is usually bigger and has more equipment in it, more things in it, and we aim for everyone to be within 4 kilometres of a district park, and I think we're doing pretty well. I can't quote you the exact percentage, but we're doing pretty well against that measure as well.
Last one. Do you think recreation facilities in Brisbane should be free or should charge public entry?
Okay, well, parks are generally free, so other recreational facilities in Brisbane, things like swimming pools, indoor sports, can charge, and in an ideal world, it'd be great if that stuff was free, but it comes down to it costs a lot of money to run, for instance, a swimming pool, aquatic centre, and I guess we live in a user pays type of world, I guess. So I think we do provide a lot of facilities that are free, and we do pretty well on that front. And I think having a low level of a user pays approach for those types of things that do have higher costs to operate and maintain makes sense. If we made all those things free, council rates would need to increase quite a lot, and obviously not everyone uses them, so making people pay extra rates for things they don't use would always be a tricky position. So ideal world, it'd be great from a health perspective if all those things were free, but I think we've got a pretty good balanced approach in terms of going to a park, using the exercise equipment, taking a dog to the dog park. All the playgrounds, sporting fields are free. If you want to join a club and play a sport as part of a club, the club will normally have fees, and that's just associated with their costs. Clubs aren't there to make a profit, so you just pay for the cost for the club to exist, to facilitate your involvement in the sport, and that's sort of outside of council's arrangements. So yeah, it'd be great if things were free, but I think we do a pretty good job of trying to keep costs down as much as we can. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
No worries.